within me and renew a true song within.
Shabbat Shalom. So nice to see all of you. It's really nice to be with you and to see your faces on the Zoom call. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'm Rabbi Sharon Henry, and I'll let my fellow team members introduce themselves to you.
Hi, everyone. Olivia Tucker. I am running tech for us tonight. If you're having any issues with sound or video or anything, you can locate the chat, hopefully at the bottom of your screen. There are options, including chat, where you'll also find our prayer book, a flip book from the, of our Mishkan Tefillah, which you'll find the link for in that chat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Molly May, a cantorial soloist. I invite you to get your candles and your wine and your challah together so that we can all bring in Shabbat. And we'll do so after an opening song.
And Shabbat Shalom, Don McGahan, music director, with you this evening. I'm starting on page 10, if you will join me, with Mayafe Hayom. How lovely today is, and even with the rain and the lightning and the thunder, it still is beautiful because it is part of God's creation. So, Mayafe Hayom and Shabbat Shalom. Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Hi.
You are not a second head growing out of my arm. You're my oldest son. See, right here.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue with Psalm 96, which is on page 13. Yeah. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash. on page 20, we invite the beauty of Shabbat and the Shabbat bride. And we're going to sing one of Rabbi Henry's favorite tunes for L'Chadodi. And at the end, if you'd like to turn and face your entranceway to welcome the beauty of Shabbat, you're welcome to do so. And afterwards, we'll take some time to greet each other. Hey. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad yishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'letehila. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'oref umi uri, uri uri, shir gaveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Yamin u'shmol tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi. Al yanish ben parti ben nismecha ben nagila. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. L'Chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela.
Shabbat Shalom. You can unmute if you'd like. Say Shabbat Shalom. It's good to see you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Hi, Aunt Molly.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Congratulations, Molly, on your son, your bar mitzvah.
I'm on a new screen now.
So I'll tell you why
Again,
that,
Bessie.
I'll tell you why that's one of my
Yay.
favorite Lachadodis is because the first time I heard it, I was at Navatihila. That's the community in Jerusalem. Some of you went there on the summer tour, and it was written by, I don't know which person there, probably Daphna. And everyone in the room was singing and clapping by the time we got to the end. It was this huge celebration. It was just so wonderful. So I love the music, but I also love the memory and the whole community just singing together and welcoming Shabbat. It's really, really nice. And so we call it the joyful Navatihila Lachadodi. I don't know what they call it, but that's what we call it.
They call it Lachadodi Sameach.
Ah, so they do. Okay. So we'll continue with Tov Lahodot on page 22.
Tov lehodot Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Le'gid baboker chastecha, be'emunatcha b'alilot, ali asor va'alei navel, alei higayon bechinor. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Ki simchtani Adonai b'kolecha, b'maaseh yadecha aranin. Ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai, me'od amku machshavotcha. Tov lehodot Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. The Chatzi Kaddish, the transition from the Kabbalat Shabbat portion of our service to the evening service, is found on page 26. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
V'alma divrei chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yom echon, uv'chayei zachor beit Yisrael, bagala uv'izman kariv, v'yimeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam ulan me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha berichu. Le'la min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma, ve'yimeru Amen. We rise in body or spirit for the call to worship, Baruch Hu, on page 28, and we face towards the east. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again, we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace, and within the nations there will be peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Micha Mocha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu, our people's nighttime prayer. Move my everything mic over here. Come on. Shomrei
On page 44, we continue with V'Shamaru, and please sing along with me. V'Shamaru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berid olam Beni uvein bnei Yisrael oti le'olam le'olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashavi Shabbat vayirafash.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for the tefillah. We begin with the meditation on page 46, and then we'll continue with our own personal prayers all the way through the bottom of page 62. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Yehiyu l'ratzon, we ask that our words and our meditations are acceptable. Yehiyu l'ratzon, imre fi, ve'yom libi lefanecha. Adonai tzur
We come now to Misha Barach for healing. An opportunity to think about those members of our community, our family, our friends who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit. We think of those who are struggling with anxiety and addiction and loneliness, loss, isolation, fear, and grief. Please add names to the chat if you don't hear the person that you're thinking of. If you don't hear that person's name, then please put it in the chat and I'll come back to that and say those names as well. So this evening we hold in our hearts Lester and Nancy Berkowitz, Millard Balloon, Kate Brody, Olivia Burton, Peter and Tim Flokos, Naum Kaplan, Lee Kramer, Miranda Larson, Carolyn McDowell, Millie Morey, Karni Malkabat Hindasara, Lev Podorovsky, Ruth Rubenstein, Cantor Michal, Gray Schaefer, and Pat Shore. Sam Spitz, Janie Moravitz, Sheldon Marstein, Eddie Diamond, Mark Kvasik, Judy Boren. We hold all of them in our hearts as we sing together Misha Barach.
Misha Barach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Barach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So you know how we've been talking lately about how it's really hard to tell 1 week from a next and what day it is, and it's like August already. And so just to make matters even more complicated, today both Rabbi Bisno and I recorded our high holiday sermons, and mine was for Yom Kippur morning, which is why I'm wearing a white shirt. So when you see me in that recording, you'll recognize the shirt. So it's just very dissonant, the time and place and all of that. But this week we have arrived at Torah portion Ki Tetzei. This Torah portion has 74 mitzvot in it, which is a big chunk, given that according to tradition we have 613 mitzvot in the Torah. So 74 is a lot, and it's the most of any parsha. So we know that it is not possible to observe all 613. For one thing, it's not necessarily because we wouldn't want to, but because many of these mitzvot apply only in certain specific situations or to certain specific people. For example, some mitzvot are applicable only in the land of Israel. Others are relevant only for the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. Others depend on situations like a man who's married, childless brother has died. And so those very specific, and some are for different stages of life, like betrothal or the period just after a marriage. So there's other reasons for other ones, but you get the idea. We can't do all 613, even if we wanted to. And in this particular portion, it's very interesting. We arrive at some kind of unique mitzvot. Like, for example, this one is for a very specific circumstance, which is if you come upon a bird's nest and you want the birds or the eggs, depending on where they are in their stage of development, you have to send the mother away first. And there's lots of commentary in the post-biblical writings about why you would do this. There's lots of science that says if you find birds, don't return them to the nest. But this isn't exactly that. This is if you come upon a bird's nest and you want the eggs, then you have to send the mother away. And from this, we're at the very minimum, we're taught compassion. If we are caring about birds, then all the more so we should be caring about one another. So that's a little, I don't want to spend more time on that one. I want to spend a little bit of time on the one that we showed you a few moments ago, which is Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 8. It seems really specific at the beginning, but I think we'll see that it gets to be less specific. So the verse is, when you build a new house, you shall make a parapet for your roof so that you do not bring blood guilt on your house if anyone should fall from it. So parapet is like a roof, right? Well, it's a special kind of roof. And I'll come back to that in a minute, but well, actually, let me just skip that little part. So this parapet is a kind of a boundary wall. It went around the roof. In antiquity, roofs were generally flat, and people used the roofs for socializing, for housework. If you remember Bathsheba, she was hanging out on the roof when David caught sight of her. So it was a part of the house, and it was flat, so people would use it. And it had no boundary unless people built a parapet around it, right? So they built this boundary so that no one would accidentally fall, off. And some people had said, have argued, well, a parapet isn't fair to homeowners. Why would these would not be insurance people. These would be other people who would, for our own rights. Why should we have to put that up there? Why would we endure the expense to make sure that someone else who's just careless doesn't fall off the roof? And the Torah just doesn't have any patience for that kind of question, because the onus is on the homeowner. And I want to just suggest that the parapet isn't a question of an insurance question, God forbid someone should fall, but that it is a way to engender a caring community. Just as the bird mitzvah talked about saving, being kind and compassionate to a bird, well, this one is for one another. So it's our responsibility, it's my responsibility to build a parapet on my roof so that you don't fall off, just like it's my responsibility to build a fence around my pool so that you don't fall in. Or so some teenagers who are out trying, don't go into my pool and God forbid drown. So I think that it's a way for us to think about protecting one another. We don't want anyone to fall off a roof. We don't want anyone to be hurt. So, when I'm thinking about this pandemic, it's one of the comforts of this time is knowing just how people are demonstrating extraordinary kindness to one another during this crisis. We've all read stories about people who are helping neighbors, people who are helping friends, as well as people that they've never met before. It has become a way that we're looking out for one another in the best times. We've been calling people heroes that don't normally get called heroes, people who work in healthcare, who are in all day taking care of people and risking their health, even heroes who are doing grocery stores, who bring up our groceries. We have to eat, someone has to ring them up. People who are holding the hands of loved ones when their family members aren't allowed into a hospital or to a care facility. Some of these heroes are known, and sometimes people write stories about them, and others will always remain anonymous. There's no one who who will tell their story. So I was thinking about how the coronavirus reminds us that even though we're separated from each other in these little boxes here, we really are connected, and we really have ways to reach out to one another, even if we can't hug each other or touch one another, or sometimes we can't be in the same room. And I feel like in the same way that the parapet prevents us from falling off a roof, this concern that we have for one another during this time prevents any one of us from a free fall. And so, there's people have been talking about feeling disconnected from community, have been talking about how they don't feel that they can like observe Judaism anymore. And I'd just like to remind you that all the ways that we're actually doing that, taking care of one another through phone calls and through conversations like this. We're feeding the hungry. We're out demonstrating for justice. We are connecting with people that we've never met in our cities over some of these justice issues. We're really taking care of each other. And so we ought not to think that we are not observing mitzvot, any of these 613, because we actually really are, and we're doing it in ways that are critically important. So that's all I have for you tonight. As I mentioned before, we did a filming this morning, so I had a Yom Kippur sermon that I did, and but even though the message is short, I think it's important that we are here to take care of one another, and not for cynical reasons, but because we genuinely do care about one another's welfare, and that's a very big important part of being a community. Shabbat Shalom. And now we turn to Aleinu.
Now we switch our cameras and we pick up our guitar, and we are going to focus on the text V'hashevota, which is found actually on page 284. It says to take it to heart that Adonai is our God. And then we end with V'ne'emar. And you'll just repeat after me, and I have my sound folks on the other side, and you'll be able to follow them.
We turn now to Kaddish. We remember those who were taken from us in recent days. William Cohen, Nancy Teresa Connor, Kathleen Fergie Ferguson, Mildred Mitzi Goldman, Muriel Gutman, Violet Marcus, Masha Pukchansky, Alan Silverman, Leonard Stern. We're also remembering Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum, two protesters who were killed during a Black Lives Matter protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We remember those who died at the season in years past, whose yahrzeit we observe on the Shabbat: Nathan H. Cart, Robert Lovner, Richard Reichblum, and Emmett Till. I noticed that some of my friends are including some people of color that had been killed in years past, as if this were their yahrzeit, and Emmett Till it was his yahrzeit this week. Please add any names that you have into the chat for Kaddish, Sydney A. Kaplan, or say the name out loud, that's fine too. Go ahead, Bart.
But she didn't hear you. Say it again.
Keith Goldfarb, Samuel Thomas.
Any other names? Either in the chat or say them out loud. If you'd like to unmute for Kaddish, we can hear one another.
Richard Longini.
Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for blessing. Yit gadal, v'yit kadash, shmei rabba, v'yama divrach hirutei, v'yamlich rachutei, v'chayechon uv'amechon, uv'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'zman karev, amen. Yehei shmei rabba, v'rach le'olam ve'amayah. Yitbarach, Yitbar, Yitma, Yitadar, Yitadar, Shmei, Bela, Tushbechata, Gamiram, Vimru, Amen. Hey, Shlama, Rabba, Maya, B'chaim, Yisrael, Vimru, Amen. Shalom, Hallelujah, Al Kol Yisrael, Al Kol Yoshei Tevel, Vimru, Amen.
Shalom Imroma, Shalom Alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru Amen.
Shalom, everyone. Olivia Tucker here. I'm going to share some announcements for our coming week and then invite our board to share some updates for the congregation as well. All of the events that I'm talking about here, you can attend via the Zoom links that are in the Shalomogram. And if you're not receiving the Shalomogram, you can email me, Tucker@Shalom, and we'll get you set up. Tomorrow morning, our services, and every week, 10:30 a.m. for Saturday morning, Friday evenings, 5:30. And stick around after to Kibbutz and our virtual Oneg. Tomorrow morning is my last entrances to Talmud class. If you haven't been able to attend some Talmud 101, come through and we'll learn together in the style of Savara. And join us next week and also the 12th for a discussion from Gary Sarok and Marilyn Asmo on Lashon Hara, evil speech, evil tongue, literally. It's going to be really good. So put that on your calendar for September 5th and 12th. We also still are having the Biblical Gardens Fall Plant Sale, build up to Rosh Hashanah with mums and apples and honey. It's not too late to pick them up. And there are actually a few more pickup days than these ones here. So check that out. And the Littman Library is leading the Yellowbird Sings with a book club meeting on September 15th. We are also having a second session of our book discussion on white fragility, why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism, by Robin DiAngelo. It went really well last night, and we know that half the city was without power, so you still have time to get the book and give it a read and come and discuss. Also, please register to vote. You can order your mail-in ballot now, or you can make a plan now to vote in person. The Women of Rodef Shalom and volunteers are making calls this week to make sure everybody's registered and they know what they need. So please look out for those calls, and Shabbat Shalom.
We were going to begin a new practice tonight, but because it's technology, we're going to have to start next time, which is we'll have a board member who will be giving a little update from the board, what is happening from the perspective of leadership. It's just not about events. We'll tell you about what's happening with the congregation, some of the changes and some of the initiatives, things that are happening on the board level. So we'll have an opportunity to look forward to that. It'll just be one more week to look forward to it. We're also looking forward to David May's bar mitzvah next week. So on Friday night, we'll have a special Shalom Kabbalat Shabbat service. And then on Shabbat morning, David becomes bar mitzvah, and we're very excited about that. I think that's it. We'll conclude our service with Shalom Aleichem. That is, I don't have the page number. I have a different book. So Olivia, if you could.
It's either 323 or page 12, I think.
24.
24 and
24 or 323.
23.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bo'achem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kiddush is on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Amen. Bread. Eat that bread.
Get that bread.
We can't have wine, so we're having it. Watch your
Don't knock the challah into the candles, please.
Yeah, that'd be not good.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Avon.
Shabbat Shalom. Please, if you're so inclined, turn on your microphone, wish people Shabbat Shalom, your camera if you're really brave.
Shalom.
Shabbat.
Shabbat